fans, to a whole new season and a whole new chance to see some brand new winners here in the US IndyCar League. And I'm so glad that you're joining us from around the world here on VirtualRacing.Network. And we are so proud to be bringing you live coverage of the entire season 12 season of the US IndyCar League, just as we did of season 11. And of course, that was so exciting to see unfold over the course of the entire 12 race season. This season, a great schedule planned, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Again, I'm Trevor Greenfield. Glad to have you with us as we get set for qualifying right here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the site of our very first round. You can see some of the cars back there in the background getting out onto the track. We've got Howard Livingston and Rick Lovison starting their qualifying. It looks like David Zaleski there spinning out on his qualifying effort. We'll take a look and see who is on an effort right now. I think Rick Lovison is there on the track. Throw the ticker up on the screen so we can take a look at where your favorite driver is at the moment. It looks like nobody has set a time. We did see David Zaleski there, unfortunately, spinning on the opening, on the perhaps on the out lap. So now Jason Lowe on track, putting in the very first and only time thus far, 25.39. And again, we're set for a great day today. We've got a full field set to go here for round one, Atlanta, and we look forward to seeing a fantastic season. Of course, in the field as well, we have all of our championship finishers at the top of the order from last season. We will be having Graham Bunyan join us again, Jason Lowe, as well as Howard Livingston. Now David Worrell putting in his fast lap. Go on board, take a look at some of the new cameras. David Worrell just joining us for a couple of races last season. Great to have him back with us this season. And Worrell completing the second lap, good enough for third place. And in the meantime, guess who was fastest? It was Rick Lovison, as he tried to cut for the second lap. Didn't quite get to it fast enough, but Rick Lovison putting in pole position, fastest lap thus far. Howard Livingston in the Care Camps automobile right now in third place. Just finished his second lap. And now the big gun starts striking. It's David Strid who puts in a fast lap, as well as Graham Bunyan putting in a fast second lap. And that will put them 1-2, the Australians putting in some good times. And now Dan Ensch, a driver that was in the fight for second during the championship last season and was there until the very end and just had some rough luck, was second in the championship 2 seasons ago, so used to running near the front. And, you know, Dan also knows how this broadcasting thing works. He's decided to wait an extra few seconds to get out there on the track, and now he'll get all the screen time, which is wonderful for us. So we watch Dan go around his first lap, not fast enough at 25.11. What will he do on this second lap? Good enough for fourth. So we get set for the field to take today's green flag, which will do 124 laps here at the High Banked facility in Atlanta. Once again, welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're experiencing any issues or anything with the video, please let us know. Brand new to doing this 4K streaming. We had a little bit of a technical glitch, and we'll just keep rolling past it. Never know when Comcast or YouTube is going to throw something at you. So we wait for this one to go official here, and we've got about 30 seconds. I don't see any other drivers looking to make a qualifying effort, and that's interesting because Jeffrey Allen is shown as having done almost a full lap, and then Mike West has not yet even started a lap, as well as Iñigo Montoya. So 14 drivers here for our start, and also a newcomer, Don Day. Glad to have Don as part of the field. And finally, we will get a chance to show you our official grid for today's race up there on the screen. You can see it. David Strid starting alongside Graham Bunyan, last season's champion. And then you've got Rick Lovison starting in third, fourth for Dan Ensch with that late lap. It's going to be the third row with Howard Livingston and Jason Lowe. Fourth row will be David Zaleski, Richard Kelbaugh. That's, of course, Mr. StickQuik in the StickQuik machine. You're seeing that one a little bit later on here. David Worrell and Don Day going to be starting back on row 5. So Will Stearns and Iñigo Mardones will start on row 6. And then Mike West and Jeffrey Allen going to be starting on the final row for today's race. And we wait as the cars get ready to go here and head out onto the track. But let's go ahead and we'll take a look at how they finished up last season, just so we can be aware of where everyone was at the end of the season. It was an exciting one. Numerous winners in the series last season, and of course the one with the biggest win tally of them all, Graham Bunyan, there at the top of the points, taking 7 wins. I believe all of those coming in a row. So Graham capable of definitely reeling off a victory or two. Jason Lowe ending up in second place. Again, it was tumultuous, up and down, fighting with Dan Ensch all season long. Lowe with no wins last season, which is really fascinating. So we'll see. Lowe definitely has the speed to get up there and challenge. And you see a number of other drivers, again, that have won, have gotten pole position, etc. Number of drivers do have a great chance today. So we're looking forward to a whole brand new season. It's a clean slate. I hope you're out there enjoying the brand new quality of the picture. We're broadcasting for the first time in 4K. We did have to reduce our bitrate just a little bit, so you might want to go down to maybe the 1080 version if it's not quite working properly. Promise we'll get it all ironed out. This is cutting edge stuff that we're trying to do for all of our broadcasts here on VirtualRacing.Network. So as we come down, take a look at the front row. There's David Strid starting on the inside in the very familiar red and white Penske colors as they come around the track and get ready to get going here for our very first laps. I'm excited. Butterflies in the stomach. We get ready for a whole new season of action. And there goes David Strid, green flag. Leading us down to the start. We have lots of action just behind with Howard Livingston, Rick Lovison, David Zaleski, Dan Ensch, all fighting for position in a very tight space. Rick Lovison there in third. Rick had a great qualifying effort. Perhaps Rick and the rest of his team putting in some extra efforts there. We look back at the front. It's David Strid, Graham Bunyan, currently running 1-2. So these two very familiar with each other's style of racing, and we settle in for what will be a fantastic day of action. These drivers just getting used to their cars and seeing how they handle. We'll go ahead and jump on board, see what it's like to ride around this place as we jump on with David Zaleski. Dives down the inside of Rick Lovison there through turn 3. Take a look back, and you'll see a number of new cameras that we're working with here, just trying to continue to improve each week and bring you some new different ways of covering the cars. This one of our new angles. Looking out the back, you can see Rick Lovison still fighting and Dan Ensch just behind, Jason Lowe behind. Take a look out the front of the Dallara IR18 for David Zaleski, the number 07 car. Trying to chase down Howard Livingston, who's managed to come forward, is now up into the third spot in that Care Camps machine. Howard had a great run this last season, able to get a win on the board, get a couple of podiums up there, and fight into the championship. And actually with that series of good runs towards the end of the season, including victory as predicted at Las Vegas, Howard Livingston was able to climb up into third and actually take that position from Dan Ensch. Found himself sitting sadly on the sidelines of the championship trophy presentation. Just kidding. No, Dan, a big part of this league. And we take a look at the front. Here's David Strid and Graham Bunyan, the two Australians fighting it out right now for first. I think Graham very happy to just stay in second. Story with David Strid. He has built a number of the setups for US IndyCar League over the seasons, but of course it's a fixed setup series. And a couple of other changes this season that they're running into when they're building setups and when they're racing. The fuel tank has been reduced down to just 13 gallons instead of 14.8 like it was before. So this is an effort to try to reduce the amount of fuel conservation races. So all these drivers and their setups and their fuel saving, etc., going to be adjusting their strategies. But David Strid able to come in and make a big splash last season. We look forward to seeing David continue to lead. And I'll be honest, I just see anybody take the fight to Graham Bunyan would be nice. And David seems to have that pace. So we look forward to seeing that over the course of season 12. In the meantime, we go back to Howard Livingston, who currently has the fastest lap of the race, a 25.19. Get the gap times, and then why don't we also put the track map up on the screen so you can follow and see just where your favorite driver is at. Howard Livingston's now broken open a little bit of a gap. We can go back to the wider camera. We take a look. It's Livingston now kind of got about a half a second back, although that draft really effective for David Zaleski, starting to reel in Howard there in front. Now, we don't just have this cool roll bar camera. We also have a brand new visor cam taking you right into the cockpit here of David Zaleski's number 07 vehicle. And we have a note here that Jeffrey Allen has had a moment. We're going to go back and take a look here from Jeffrey's point of view, exiting the pits, getting into all kinds of trouble, drifting up the track. It's like the breakfast cereal machine of Jeffrey Allen not quite getting out of the pits successfully. Not sure if he ate the right cornflakes this morning. You might want to switch to Wheaties. And so Allen continues. Doesn't look like did any damage. So we go back to the live picture. And we are up with David Strid on his visor cam, taking you around the track in the lead of the race. And the camera's focus has been set to infinity, so can't quite make out what's what the details are on the steering wheel, and that's intentional. You can see the gear shift there, but some of the other information is actually quite sensitive, and so it's just easier for us to focus away, and that's kind of what you would see too. If you were there in the car, you're of course focusing off in the distance. You can't really see what's right next to your nose. It's David Stridd and Graham Bunyan continue around this track. Over 217 miles an hour. Looks like Jeffrey Allen also coming back into the pits there. I don't think Jeffrey actually sustained damage in that incident in any way, but not happy with the car, bringing it back in. So we go back through the field. That was David Stridd in first place. Here's Graham Bunyan in second place. Of course, your series winning driver from last season, your championship winning driver from Australia. He's been colorful and fast, and someone that every single week has just brought his A game. And unless he's having a mistake himself, which is very, very infrequent, or unless somebody happens to tap him or get him crossed up, there's been basically nothing that has gone wrong for this driver, Graham Bunyan. He's definitely acquitted himself excellently over every single race. But again, it's those little mistakes that catch you out. I mean, early in the season, there was a missed pit entry. There was a couple of other issues. But again, at the end of it all, the one with the least amount of mistakes and the one who every single week was basically the fastest or amongst the fastest. Graham Bunyan easily taking the championship last season. I think it kind of surprised him with the way that things started. Did not get the first couple of races in that he would have liked, and had to really work for it towards the rest of the season. And so as these two continue on, it looks like they've broken open about 2 seconds to our third place driver, the top American at the moment in the field. It's Howard Livingston. As I mentioned before, Livingston, a winner last season, and it was, of course, on a higher bank D-shaped oval, so not a surprise to see Howard doing well here at Hotlanta. Speaking of Hotlanta, of course, it's early in the morning. There you see David Zaleski diving down the inside of Howard Livingston as they exit onto the backstretch. Can't quite get it done. There he goes down the inside again, taking a look. And he puts that machine, very familiar paint job. Got a few familiar paint jobs in the field. Zaleski down the inside of Livingston and then moves right up on Livingston. My goodness, that was close. That was very, very close. These two racing hard side by side. There you can see a brand new camera for us and another new camera for us. Looking out the left side of Howard Livingston. Just trying to keep track of where that pesky David Zaleski is at, but Zaleski has gotten right around Howard up into third, so perhaps the adjustment's not quite working the same way for these two drivers. Zaleski, one of those drivers that I kept just thinking was going to poke through last season and get that victory. He's got that amazing speed at times that you just think is he's going to pull one out at some point. It's pretty much due. I think pretty much everybody else clicked one off last season except for Dan Ensch. That was it was shocking as well that Dan Ensch didn't manage to get one, but again, that's what this season could be all about. So we have a note that we've got Jeffrey Allen having another moment here. This on board with Allen. Allen really slow. Undoubtedly sustaining damage while we weren't watching. So resetting back to the pits, and Jeffrey Allen really struggling with the race car today, unfortunately. Look forward to seeing Jeffrey back next week. Maybe get a little bit more time to practice or get that thing a little bit more under control. And I say that, I mean, I'm definitely not meaning to be condescending or negative towards anybody's efforts. It's not easy to control these cars. Anybody who has not been racing these cars, so we take a look at Jason Lowe, who's dropping back through the field. We're just about to start working our way through the field and talking about Jason, but yeah, he's dropped back now several positions. Looks like Iñigo Montoya and Rick Lovison, as well as Dan Ensch, and even David Worrell getting by. So let's go ahead and recap where we're at. David Strid, currently in first, has been since the start, qualified in first, still in first. Go back to Graham Bunyan. And then David Zaleski now in third, up 4 spots so far on the day, moving forward fast. Zaleski, your highest climber thus far. Now here's Howard Livingston. Again, he's up a position, back and forth, was as high as third just a moment ago. Trying to bring that Care Camps machine back into podium contention. Rick Lovison here. We had the pleasure of talking with in a podium interview last season. Rick trying to get that Berkshire machine up into podium position again so that we can talk. David Strid pulling into the pits, so your leader is in. And headed down pit road to take service. First pit stop of the day. Again, these tires, well, 32 laps. I was being told by another driver that we may actually get quite a few more laps out of a tank, so I'm kind of surprised. In fact, I'm just clarifying. Actually, told by another driver that you get about another lap or two out of the tank. So definitely Strid paying the price there for running out front the whole time. And Bunyan able to fuel save by default and take advantage with his countryman there, the fellow Australian David Strid. So Bunyan now in first as we see Worrell, Stearns. Stearns now making his way into the pits, gets it woed up plenty early, not taking any chances today. Stearns, another one of those drivers that has had so many moments of, it's so hard to predict what you're going to get out of Will Stearns. 1 week he'll show up and look like he's ready to win the race, and another week it's surprising. It's quite surprising. But Graham Bunyan now into the pits, as well as David Zaleski, Howard Livingston, Richard Kelbaugh, Will Stearns, Jeffrey Allen, all in the pits at the moment. Rick Lovison continuing on track with Dan Ensch just behind, and Jason Lowe, Iñigo Montoya, Don Day, and Mike West. That's your top 6. Here comes Rick Lovison into the pits, so everyone beginning their pit stop cycles, and Lovison spins on entry. Very easy to do, gets it woed up. It looked like that was Mike West going, was that Mike West flying into the pits? No, in fact, that was Don Day flying into the pits, and I'm not sure that we won't see a penalty based on how fast he did enter. Let's see if we can go back and watch again. Don Day entering the pits. That one might come back to cost him. And indeed, he's got full lock on that car. I just don't think it got quite woed up in time. But nevertheless, we go back to the live picture, and as they cycle around, it is the Spaniard Iñigo Montoya who continues out there, has not yet pitted, and we are working lap 38. So Iñigo Montoya up 11 positions, currently running right now, and if the caution were to come out, Graham Bunyan desperate to get around there. That is Graham Bunyan unlapping himself, and the real reason is because if a caution were to come out, everyone would basically be frozen in position, and everyone would be a lap down. That's part of the overcut strategy. So now Graham Bunyan back on the lead lap, and Iñigo Montoya is there in the actual first place position on track. We look at Iñigo as he dives in, and he gets it all crossed up and wrong, and again, there's just no way that thing got slowed down in time. Iñigo's going to pay the price on that one as well. So Don Day now all the way at the back of the pack, and we look to see Iñigo Montoya's brilliant running there, unfortunately compromised by pit entry. Again, that's just what I'm talking about, folks. It is so difficult to be that precise in these vehicles. Just one tiny move, one wrong entry into a corner or the pits, and you're spinning right around. And unfortunately, that one caught out Iñigo Montoya. We saw it catch out Rick Lovison as well earlier. There's been no cautions thus far. 41 laps into this one. It's flying by. I hope you're having fun out there watching. Season 12, Round 1 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's the Atlanta 190 presented by StickQuik right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Continuing coverage of the US IndyCar League for the second season, and it is not letting us down. This one's already been filled with some interesting racing, a lot of strategy playing out as we get this long green flag stint. We're on lap 42. David Zaleski, driver who has been consistently fast in the field, but not able to get that win and not really able to get the podium finish last season that he would have liked. Now sitting in second place, did not get those penalties entering the pits. And we do have a note. We can see that David Strid has now fallen significantly down the order, even behind Rick Lovison. So you have to imagine that again, perhaps Strid really not getting the pit entry or pit exit that he would have liked, and that really costing him. Now a lap down, running in 11th place. But this is your driver who's in first. It's Graham Bunyan. No surprise there. We've been saying it for seasons. But really, anybody can challenge in this series, and that's what's so great. So, not too late to get into the US IndyCar League. There is a drop race this season, just like was instituted last season. So if you want to come out here and challenge these drivers, just head over to iRacing.com. I actually put a link down in the description of this video, so you can just click straight through to the league page and feel free to apply. There is some criteria, but as you can see, this is a great group of clean racers. It's a pleasure to cover them. What a fascinating race we have here. So Howard Livingston back into that third spot after David Strid dropped out. Currently still up 2 spots and running in third, so that is a great run for Howard. I'm sure looking forward to the end of this one and seeing what can play out with more strategy. Jason Lowe, another driver that you can never count out. Racing with the Naked Clown sponsorship, and that is an awesome full car livery. It's been on board with that car for a while. And Lowe currently running in fourth, just coming up. It's about 9.6 seconds to the lead and 2.7 seconds up to Howard Livingston from there. So he's got his work cut out for him to go chase down that podium position if he wants it. But again, it's looking like David Zaleski having a great run up just in front. Going to be a difficult day to get up there onto that podium. Back there, Dan Ensch. Again, one of those drivers that it's just perennially right there in the top 5. Always working on some key strategy. And Dan, one of the very last ones to come in and pit. Not a surprise. Again, one of the lightest right foots out there in the, one of the feather foots out there in the field. Someone who knows how to work that gas pedal and get the most amount of mileage. So, Ensch definitely someone to keep an eye on. Just behind him, it's David Worrell. And, of course, Ensch, racing for Alzheimer's.org, will not be in the next race. And so I think it would be extra meaningful to get that Alz.org car up into the Alzheimer's Association, that is. Get that car up onto the podium and into victory circle potentially. But David Worrell here, trying to give him a challenge. You see Jason Lowe slow on the inside. Not sure what that was all about. Looked like he dove down to the inside. And now you can see Ensch is catching Lowe. I'm not sure if Lowe just got loose. But there goes by Dan Ensch. You see Worrell now trying to work a little bit. So Worrell now dropping back a little bit from Ensch, but Lowe having a kind of difficult race. Glad that we haven't seen the type of difficulty that sometimes puts him out of these races, usually a light contact or something like that. And Worrell, there, speaking of light contact, getting very high off of the corner. And so just behind it's David Worrell, and now take a look at who's creeping up on this scene. It's Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik. Got that Dallara IR18 flying out there, up into 7th, up a spot on the day. And hanging in. Now about to take a look down the inside of Worrell potentially. But this is not a, these Indy cars, it's not a game of throwing it down the inside just so you can claim that position. It's a lot of strategy. You really got to plan when you want to make your attack, how you want to make your attack. One of the keys is if you're using much weight jacker here, of course, these Dallara IR18 Indy cars, they have adjustments in the cockpit that you can adjust the anti-roll bar front and back. Then you also can adjust the weight jacker. You can also signal for downforce changes if it's an open setup series, which this one is a fixed one. So you have some different options when you race the Dallara IR18 IndyCar, but on ovals, the weight jacker can be your friend, should be your friend, but sometimes your friends turn on you, and that's the weight jacker in a nutshell. You go too high on that weight jacker, the weight jacker simply just raises the right rear corner of the car. It's a little complicated to explain how that actually affects the car. We could sit here for a couple of minutes, but the main thing is, as these drivers continue, the right rear tire will wear, so they want more drive off of the corner, and so you're going to want to go up on that right rear and on that weight jacker. And if you go too far, it starts to burn off that right rear, especially on these tracks where there's a lot of banking. So the more you need to lean on it, the hotter it gets that tire, and you can just spin right around. So something to always keep in mind. And that's a lot of times, that's why you see a lot of these drivers coming forward when other drivers are struggling and starting to go backwards. Those tires are starting to wear a little unevenly, not feel as competitive as they did in the beginning, and other drivers perhaps saving their tires. Richard Kelbaugh, one of those drivers that through the whole season last season was just solid, was in the right place to take advantage anytime that a strategy could be worked, and just unfortunately never got up onto the podium last season, but has had some great runs, and I'm sure we're going to see that in the near future. In the meantime, Lowe now right on the back of Ensch again. Ensch trying to hold Lowe at bay. So we're now lap 61, coming up on halfway through this one. It's absolutely flying by. And in the meantime, Graham Bunyan opening up an opening up a 2.6 second gap. I was looking at the wrong gap time there, but Graham Bunyan up to a 2.6 second gap on David Zaleski. And a beautiful day here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Fans really turning out. You see the temp there, just coming up to 100 degrees. It is a virtual 5:28 p.m. here in Atlanta. So 100 degrees, a little bit warmer by nature of the fact that this race is happening when it is. 100 degrees a bit warmer than we're used to. Some of these races happening quite early in the morning with very, very low tire degradation. And around 100 degrees, you're going to start to feel that tire deg for sure. And as I mentioned, the drivers that excel in those kinds of conditions and adjusting their cars are the ones that are going to come forward. So Graham Bunyan leads David Zaleski. Found out that I was pronouncing it incorrectly all last season. I blame somebody in particular, but I'll take responsibility. David Zaleski up into second and Howard Livingston into third. And by the way, anybody, if I am mispronouncing your name, if I get a detail wrong, or you want to let me know more about yourself and your car, or some of the strategy you might be working, I promise I can keep my mouth shut. Just want to know some more of the secrets happening with these competitors in the US IndyCar League. But yeah, feel free to let me know. Send me a message either on YouTube, Discord, however works for you. And speaking of which, if you're over in the YouTube chat room, got a comment from Dan, says still a long way to go. Stuff happens. You bet, Dan. Appreciate you just dropping by. We've got a handful of people watching us right now and over in the YouTube chat. Long ways to go. Anything can happen. We have not seen a yellow flag yet, Dan. And that's kind of interesting as we now see Howard Livingston into the pits. Also David Worrell. Graham Bunyan now covering and jumping into the pits as well. So we're now on lap 67. So we're exactly halfway through. These drivers now completing their second stops of the day. David Zaleski just behind. So this will be fascinating to watch as Bunyan and Zaleski, now Richard Kelbaugh into the pits. So that will leave Jason Lowe and Mike West out there on the track. And again, this can really play a role if a yellow were to come out. Some of these drivers would be finding themselves a lap down, such as Howard Livingston, David Worrell, Dan Ensch, Iñigo Montoya, Will Stearns currently a lap down. But this will all cycle out. Actually, a couple of those drivers would be 2 laps down at the moment. So Rick Lovison also making it into the pits. This time, no problems on entry. We take a look over here at Graham Bunyan's teammate, Mike West. Mike is a winner in this series last season. And we kind of thought that we might see Mike jumping back up there and snatching another one, but we didn't see that at the end of the season. So just kind of watching Mike and seeing where and how he falls in this season. But so far in second, as we see that Jason Lowe gets it really locked. And again, there is a big question. There is a huge question. Let's take a look. We also had a moment, I believe, just not long ago. This was Don Day having a moment and getting up into the wall, bringing it across the track. Beautiful paint job on that machine. Unfortunately, it's getting a little bit of grass on it at the moment. So glad to have Dawn joining us, and see also some Majors Garage sponsorship on there as well. Majors Garage jumping out there and helping out a lot of different series. And so we go back to the live picture now. And we are under yellow for the first time today. So, you know, it's almost like you called it over there, Dan. High caliber drivers, very few yellows. Well, we were rocking and rolling until that point, but you did give the winky face and said stuff happens, and indeed stuff happens. I'm not sure if it was Don Day's incident that actually brought out the caution, but nevertheless, it does actually give us a chance to talk about something that is meaningful to all of us, and that, of course, is StickQuik. StickQuik, the presenting sponsor of this race, as well as official partner, presenting partner of the US IndyCar League, continuing on with us. And I've got my StickQuiks in my house, and you can see exactly what they are on the screen. I mean, they are, it's self-explanatory. If I need to explain, it's little green and red things, blue things. Yeah, there they are on the screen. You can see it clearly. Basically, they're magnetic. They're silicone, they're super durable, they're going to last probably longer than whatever tools or things that you're putting in there. And again, they're magnetic, so you can stick them anywhere by default that's metal. But of course, the beauty of it is that they also come with their own little sticky thing that you can put on, and that's the official word, that's how it's officially labeled as the product, is a sticky thing. No, I'm just kidding. But when I saw it, I'm like, oh wow, how cool, because I can actually put it in my shower, which is not metal, and then that way I can hang up my razor in there. So now I don't have to like find some awkward place to put my razor. It's literally on the wall of my shower. I can just grab it anytime I want. How cool is that? So yeah, all kinds of cool uses around your shop, and you can get them in just about any color you want. So go to stickquick.com, get your pack today, under 20 bucks in the mail to you, and you will thank me later. So, continue under the caution, our very first caution of the day. Once again, pleasure to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network. My name is Trevor Greenfield. We're about halfway through this race, and I believe it was the accident with Don Day that caused the incident. There's another incident with Don Day. I think this was just as he was leaving, and I'm going to say it again. He pulls off here. I don't think that car was working right. It doesn't seem like it was working right. So I'm gonna say this for everybody who's listening. I believe there is still a glitch going on with the IndyCar, and this happened in another league race the other night. Basically, if you pit with this IndyCar, sometimes they do not fully fix the damage until you tow. Now, it's possible that the car was damaged so heavily that it wouldn't have been fixed, but there's this bug that does exist that if you do try to pit and take repairs, it does not fully fix the car unless you tow it in, and it doesn't really make any sense. Now you see there Jason Lowe getting around. Lots of drivers now getting waved by the pace car. So we wait to see how this restacks out here, with Graham Bunyan now shown in the lead over Jason Lowe in second. So Lowe stopping stopping in the same general area as everyone else. I think everyone else just coming down to receive some service. Green. Here we go, back to green. It's Graham Bunyan. And now we go back to yellow. So an immediate yellow. I believe there's been an issue with the sorting order. I'm not exactly sure what. I'm not exactly sure, but we're gonna stay with the feed here. and I think we're going to have to wait for them to sort this one out. Another, iRacing is not perfect. I'm just going to say that flat out. Encountered a situation in another league race. In fact, if you go back and watch the last league race from the Prime Meridian Racing League, it's a problem that we still can't quite sort out, and it has to do with cautions on road courses. Now, ovals not known to be broken as far as their cautions go, and again, I don't have confirmation from the stewards as far as what exactly the issue is or what they're trying to sort out with this one, but I'm sure they weren't just looking out for me and keeping the, because we weren't on the TV camera to watch the start, so I'm sure they weren't just looking out for us. It was kind of strange because what we saw on camera was everyone getting waved by the pace car for some reason, but we were showing everybody still on the lead lap. And normally what happens is drivers, and this is the point of contention that was caused in the Prime Meridian Racing League race, drivers who are a lap down that are between the pace car and the leader with one lap to go are sent around in a wave around. And that should have been performed in the Prime Meridian Racing League race automatically, but in fact it gave credit to a different driver, or to a driver as being in the lead because they pitted technically from the lead with one to go. So that actually really hurt the standings. They had to manually adjust it, and that's very likely what's having to be done here. So the beauty of live stewarding and a live league like the US IndyCar League is, should anything go wrong like this, you can manually sort it out, and you have live stewards to do that. So as opposed to the official races for iRacing, where, I mean, if something goes wrong, you can protest, but they're not going to change the outcome. They will, they potentially will penalize somebody, but they will not change your finishing order. So it's always, it's kind of a crapshoot. I know that as we watch the pace car continue to go around, so we'll be doing another lap here. But I know that Dan Ensch, while we were racing in another league race for another league, had a really interesting issue happen, and this is something that catches people out a lot. It'll tell you that you can pit. There's a whole UI system. I'm sure people that are watching right now are probably familiar with iRacing, and I'm sure many of them are iRacers, but there's a whole UI system that tells you let this driver by, don't let, or stay behind the pace car, stay behind the 101 car, which is Graham's number, something like that. And so you follow those instructions, but one of the instructions that can happen is it can say pit lane is open, and then you get right before the pit lane entrance and it'll say pit lane close. And that's caught out several drivers in the past for sure. So a number of glitches, you got to kind of work your way around. They don't always catch you out, but just stuff to keep in mind. And like I said, in the official races, there's no live stewarding. So you don't have the opportunity to sort this stuff out. There's no way to manually apply cautions or anything like that. And so, as we continue here under caution, there, the lights out on the pace car. So these drivers will get a chance to finally get this one back underway. Apologize for, we don't know exactly what caused. I've got some notes here that I'm just seeing popped up. We've had some moments. Now let's go back and take a look. Mike West crashing, and I don't know if this is tied into it. Oh, this is what brought out the yellow flag. So Mike West stopped in the middle of the track, was just trying to pit, and that possibly is what brought out the initial yellow flag. Then I have a note that Ensch, during that green flag, oh, he did go off track to avoid Mike West, is exactly what happened. So Ensch Doesn't look like he did any damage unless it was underside damage. And so, yeah, it looks like Ensch got it back around. We had David Worrell slow. We'll go back to the green. Graham Bunyan leading us back to green, so trying to work that one out. And that was what brought out the caution initially, was Mike West's incident. So unfortunately, that will trap Dan Ensch now down a lap. So David Strid, Iñigo Montoya, Rick Lovison, Dan Ensch, and Mike West, Don Day, and Jeffrey Allen all down laps now, as Bunyan and Lowe fight it out for first. Lowe taking the charge to Graham Bunyan on the outside. Jason Lowe, top American in the field, trying to overcome the man that stole the championship crown from him last season. And Lowe was the first one to admit it. Lowe took 3 championships in a row in this series, winning season 10 to put that mark together and get 3 championships in a row. It's astounding. But he was the first one to admit and say, well, you know, we didn't have Graham Bunyan all season to challenge me, and now the level of competition is getting better. I don't know if I can get the championship. And sure enough, Bunyan, when he committed a full season to the championship, was able to take that crown away from Lowe. And so here we are in the first race of the season. Question mark is, with everything reset in the points, can Lowe take that challenge to Bunyan? Now there are a number of bonus points that are available for leading a lap, leading most laps, and then also for taking pole position. So obviously pole position going to Strid, and that means that neither of these drivers getting that pole position or getting that bonus point. And here goes Lowe down the inside. Lowe to the front, straight past Graham Bunyan. Now again, as we saw with David Strid taking over the front, or in the front over Graham Bunyan, Bunyan was not afraid of hanging back. There, Bunyan hanging on the outside, not able to get it done through the corner. Bunyan looks to the outside again. Goes high and can't quite get that pass done as the sunlight comes through the billboards here in Atlanta. Now Bunyan takes a look down the inside as Lowe goes to the high line. We watch live right here as these two go side by side. Bunyan back to the lead. Lowe looks to get that run again. We're giving these new cameras a workout here on VirtualRacing.Network. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. We've got 1,000 cameras on these cars. Appreciate everybody making contributions thus far. We're going to have a lot more news on that. But in the meantime, thank you to your contributions. We're able to play with some of these cameras a lot more, spend a lot more time doing this. Really appreciate your support. So definitely, if you love this action for the US IndyCar League, you can vote by subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. That way you get to do some commenting in the chat when you join us. Also, you can like this video. It'll recommend more to you. But looking back here, it's a great race developing between these two championship contenders. It's Jason Lowe and Graham Bunyan picking right up where they left off last season. This is exactly what we wanted to see. It's a shame we lost Dan Ensch, it looks like Ensch back in the pits, taking service. And here comes David Zaleski flying down the inside with Will Stearns in tow, trying to work that magic of the draft. As we jump back outside the car for a minute, it's fun to ride on board. Get to see all that great action on the track. And there, Lowe in front of the sold-out stands here in Atlanta, ahead of Graham Bunyan, David Zaleski, Will Stearns, Howard Livingston, your top 5. David Zaleski now poking his nose back up front. Is he going to take a look down the inside of your championship winner from last season, your current championship holder? And there Will Stearns managed to clip by David Zaleski. What a move by Stearns. Now we're getting some tight action in the front of this one. Stearns up into the 3rd spot. Four drivers now within the space of a blanket. And Jason Lowe continues to lead them. We're on lap 94, just 30 laps to go in this thriller here in Atlanta. Hope you're enjoying first race of the season for the US IndyCar League. Appreciate you joining us here. I know Formula One is happening across the world, but there's no IndyCars on track right now this weekend, and this is the only place to see some. What a heck of a show it's turned into, as we've got Jason Lowe now falling back behind Graham Bunyan. Those two swap positions. Will Stearns now taking a look on the inside of Jason Lowe. Taking a look from on board the Stearns machine with the 306. Always interesting, the number choices that drivers make. In iRacing official series, you cannot choose your own numbers. They're assigned by iRating. But in a league race, of course, you can choose your own numbers, just like in real life. Speaking of in real life, Dan letting us know it's tricky in real life, too. Oh, and there, an accident! It's Stearns into Lowe. Lowe looked like he spun out. What happened? Multiple cars caught. There's Lowe. There's Stearns. Zaleski. Richard Kelbaugh. So many cars in this one. We're going to have to back it up. We were just getting settled in. And it looks like Stearns tangling with Lowe in the front. Let's back this one up right on board. And we'll have to see if we can tell exactly what happened. So we go and look at this one from Will Stearns' point of view. I have a feeling this one is not going to work out exactly the way that, well, we know how it worked out. See if we can play this back in real time. And Lowe gets loose in front. We'll go back and look at it from Jason Lowe's point of view. You can see cars disintegrating against the wall and against each other there in the background. So Lowe still shown in 5th, now getting into the pits. Let's go and see if we can watch that one again. We'll have to back it up on board. So and what happened was, what it looked like to me, and I could be completely wrong, and we could back this up and try and see again. I don't know why he would be coming into the pits right now, possibly to undercut. I'm not really sure. But it looked to me like perhaps Jason was trying to make a pit stop. The way that he's downshifting, taking his feet out of the throttle, I don't know that Lowe gets that one slowed down fast enough to get it into the pits. I mean, let's just watch from overhead. I hate backing this up on the screen, but it's honestly the easiest way for us to get it right to the point where we need to get it to. So if we're watching from on screen, what chance is there if Lowe continues to slow, would he even make... He might make it into the pits. The problem there is potentially either Lowe didn't call it out or somebody didn't see that he had called it out, that he was coming into the pits. I don't know if, again, there's multiple ways to signal. In NASCAR and sometimes in IndyCar, they'll signal by going low on the backstretch. That's one way to signal. I know NASCAR drivers can stick their hands up in the window as well and wave their arms. That's not a possibility in a IndyCar, obviously, and certainly not in iRacing. They don't actually have that functionality. So we take a look at some of these broken machines on pit road and try and reassess what's happened here. Unfortunately, Rick Lovison, well, actually Rick Lovison in 5th, but down a lap. We'll have to get that lap back. And Jason Lowe now taking service. That car quite have a close enough camera to really see. But yeah, it's still missing the left rear wheel pod, so they won't send that car back out anytime soon. Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik, looked like he was just caught in one, and that's the unfortunate part of when you play the conservative strategy a little bit and you hang out in the mid-pack, you can get caught up in those incidents that happen just in front. So a big accident happening here on, I believe, lap 96. And it's caught out a number of our drivers. Mike West, Iñigo Montoya, now out of the race. Mike West is back out there. David Stritt appears to be sitting on pit road, as is Richard Kelbaugh. Will Stearns getting caught in that one as well. Dan Ensch, I believe, is back out, actually. Stearns not back out, but Ensch is back out. It's interesting because I'm showing... I guess not. I was showing for a moment that Stearns was still in this race, so I'm not 100% sure there. We'll try to fill you in a minute when this straightens out, but the new running order after this yellow flag, just 4 cars on the lead lap, all of them stopping recently, so the other drivers ending up in that accident and down in the order. But it's Graham Bunyan, Howard Livingston, David Worrell, David Zaleski, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go green again. So, couple of our, and we see that Jason Lowe has had to pull it down again into the pits. Obviously not getting everything quite fixed on that car. Did they get they never got the left side wheel pod back on there, but there you go. Graham Bunyan jumps out to a 0.7 of a second lead over Howard Livingston. And unfortunately, big championship implications early on here in the season for Jason Lowe. One of the favorites, as well as Dan Ensch, suffering big in that last caution. But the new race is on, and Howard Livingston last season proved that he had what it took to bring it home first in Las Vegas. There's every bit of chance, this being such a similar track to Las Vegas, there's every bit of chance that Howard could get right back up there. He's going to have to use that draft, and he is. He's creeping right up on the back of Graham Bunyan. Just 0.3 of a second back at the moment. So Livingston now sitting in second, and would you believe David Worrell now finds himself in third ahead of series regular David Zaleski in fourth. And the American with not the lowest oval I rating in the field. But you see David Zaleski there flying by on the inside. Turn 2. Is Worrell done? Well, I don't quite think so. Now going to try the inside himself, and not quite able to work the same magic as Zaleski there on the previous lap. Just having some fun here with just under 20 laps to go. We've got 18 to go in your season opener for the US IndyCar League. You're watching live here on VirtualRacing.Network. Hope you are enjoying our coverage. And we are bringing it to you for the first time in 4K resolution. We've had to cut our broadcasting throughput down a little bit, our bit rate down a bit. So unfortunately, not able to get quite the quality that we wanted this first week, but we'll assess what's going on and get Comcast to send the president of Comcast as well as 100 engineers out there to dispatch and figure out why our internet gigabit is not quite achieving the speeds that were promised. But once again, we do appreciate your support, and because of the support of some of our great supporters out there, we're able to financially be able to afford to technologically upgrade and bring you 4K resolution and a number of other great tech upgrades over the course of the season to make it clearer and cleaner and better pictures, so we can see these drivers fighting it out side by side. And we may get a chance to see exactly that. We've got 15 to go here, and we've got David Zaleski now creeping up on the back of Howard Livingston, now trying the outside. Zaleski in that dark black machine they used to call, the one that used to drive that machine, the Intimidator. This is exactly what that Intimidator used to do. Well, first of all, he was a master of the draft, one of the earliest absolute masters of drafting. But Dale Earnhardt, of course, the namesake that I'm talking about, the Intimidator, get up right behind people and intimidate the heck out of them, diving inside, diving outside, being right in their mirrors. They didn't know which direction he was going to go. Looks like Zaleski channeling a little bit of Dale Earnhardt Sr. right there. Oh, and a close coming together. My goodness, that was really close between these two. Looks like Zaleski pushed up just a little bit on exit. Livingston maybe coming down a little bit. That was way too close for comfort. And I think one of the things that you're seeing right here between these three is you know, Howard Livingston's not a pushover. I think that's what you're seeing. You know, Howard Livingston may be playing music with the Coconut Castaways down and enjoying himself, kicking back, drinking margaritas down in Florida. But I'll tell you what, he is no pushover. And the Intimidator is not quite able to intimidate Mr. Livingston. That Caircamps machine, of course, that'll be the namesake of our race at the end of the season, our final race at Indy. So we watch Zaleski continue to try down the inside of Livingston. Zaleski wants that second place, and we're going to, I mean, I really hope he does, because it'll be the first time we get a chance to do an interview with Zaleski for quite a while. And he drifts up the track again. These two getting so close together. It's fun to watch, but I'm sure these two working quite hard from their cockpits. Look back from David Worrell's point of view. He's fallen back a little bit. This is what he sees in the cockpit itself. That sun coming through. These drivers sweating it out. They've been in the cockpit for a long time. We're under 10 laps to go. It's just 8 laps remaining in this first race of the season. We've still got a heck of a race out front. It's Graham Bunyan in first with Howard Livingston in second, David Zaleski in third. I don't know if Zaleski's done throwing that one down the inside, but Bunyan's done just about everything that he needed to do in this one. He's managed to avoid a couple of incidents, some spinning cars, but mostly just kept it clean. However, kind of a sitting duck right now. If Livingston and or Zaleski can get up there and make this a race in the last couple of laps, we'll see if either one of them can manage to do that. These two, if they don't take each other out, might be poised in position to possibly take the win from Graham Bunyan. In the meantime, your first of the lapped cars that are a lap down is Rick Lovison there in 5th place. That's great for the championship. I know that's not where he'd want to be ultimately, but you know, at the end of this one, you're going to be looking at Rick Lovison. If he can finish right there, being 5th in the championship, that's, you know, I'd take that personally. If I was coming into a league first race, walking out with 5th, oh yeah, I'd be okay with that. But that's just me. Some of these drivers like David Zaleski, he's got nothing to lose. Who knows? I mean, he missed a couple of races last season. I don't know if he's going to do the full season. So, I mean, if he's not going to especially, he's got one thing on mind, and that is, wow, my goodness. As you see, David Strid very slow there, running down on the bottom on the apron. But, my goodness, he drifted up the track. So, it's possible Zaleski used up a bit of those tires getting past Howard Livingston, and now you see Livingston in the Care Camps machine dropping back. So I was just going to say, Care Camps is the official sponsor of the very final race of our season at Indy. That's going to be great. What a great place to talk about that organization. Of course, today's sponsor, presented by StickQuik, covering the Atlanta race, and Zaleski's got 2 laps to go. If he wants this victory, will he do it? We go on board. We'll watch from inside the cockpit. 2 laps to go. If you're David Zaleski, you're throwing everything you got at it. If there's a little bit left on that right rear tire, you're cranking up the weight jacker. You're doing whatever makes this thing a tiny bit faster and doesn't put you in the wall. It's the white flag. Final lap as they exit onto turn 2, and Zaleski tries, but Bunyan swerves to the inside. Bunyan to the outside. I don't know what Bunyan's doing. Bunyan slowing on the outside a little bit. But there they come across. 1-2, Bunyan and Zaleski. Zaleski not quite able to get that victory, with Howard Livingston coming in 3rd and David Worrell 4th. Rick Lovison brings it home, a championship 5th, as does Mike West. West, I think, took the second race of the season last season, so unfortunately won't replicate that this week. Dan Ensch recovers from a disastrous crash, gets that car fixed and back out there. He'll bring it home in 7th. David Strid had numerous problems starting from pole today. Went back 7 positions, ended up in 8th, and Lowe ended up out of the race in 9th. Iñigo Montoya also out in 10th, Richard Kelbaugh in 11th, and Stearns out in 12th, Don Day in 13th, and we did get a start from Jeffrey Allen. Unfortunately, he only made it 16 laps, but it was Graham Bunyan who did it again. I know, shocker. Graham Bunyan qualifying 2nd and executing strategy absolutely brilliantly here today. So you see a number of the cars there parking on the track, and Bunyan lights it off for the first donuts of the season. We got David Worrell there in the blue car, Strid in the red and white Penske, and Howard Livingston, your 3rd place finisher, sitting there at the start-finish line. Donuts and celebration for the season 11 champion to come back in season 12 and begin with a bang. I'm sure he'll be enjoying this one into the night. Of course, in Australia, past midnight at the moment. Not a problem for Graham. That seems to work out really well for him. So that was a fun one. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be able to take a look at the final results here on your screen in just a moment. And there you go. It was, of course, Graham Bunyan with the win. David Zaleski in second. Fantastic run from David. Third place goes to Howard Livingston. Fourth to David Worrell. Called the rest already, but what a great race for the first race of the season. Unfortunately marred by a couple of incidents. We were seeing some great green flag racing and some great clean racing out there, and Dan letting us know, appreciated the new cameras and 4K, and of course Bunyan being extremely difficult to catch in the lead. He's done it in fixed, he's done it in other series. Graham is just, he's like, I mean, the Schumacher, the Lewis Hamilton, if you want to see him that way, it's hard to catch him either way. And so we take a look over into our broadcast booth, and we are joined by several different drivers. Fortunately, we'll go ahead and get to our podium. So we've got Howard Livingston joining us from third place. And so, Howard, can you hear me there on your side of the booth? And I couldn't quite... Oh, let's see if we can unmute myself. Well, there you go. Howard, can you hear me over there on your side of the booth?
Yes, my friend, I got you, Trevor.
Well, what a heck of a run here today. For a second, I thought you were challenging for second and first, but that pesky David Zaleski came along and took second from you. But you got the Care Camps machine up there onto the final step on the podium. It's got to feel good to start the season this way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's great to come out of the box like this. So we're very happy. Would like to got a couple spots better, but we had some really good drivers in front of me. So I'm happy right here.
Well, it was a heck of a run for you today. I mean, you started in fifth, and then a couple of drivers had some misfortune, but I mean, you didn't waste any time. You went straight up to the front, and you were pretty much hanging out in the front all day. Now, is that due to the similarity in Las Vegas? You just really love these high bank D-shaped ovals, or you just feel really comfortable about it? Or do you think this is a new era for Howard, perhaps getting that Care Camps machine, finding a little bit of extra speed and getting up there into the front? We're going to see more out of this, out of Howard Livingston up there.
I certainly hope it's a it's a preview of things to come. Yeah, and this was the setup was great that everybody worked on, and and just unfortunate for some other drivers, they had some issues, and we just our philosophy was don't screw up coming in or going out of the pits, and stay off the wall, and that was kind of the extent of our philosophy today.
Absolutely. Well, the yellows. At first, there was a long green flag stint. That was a pleasure to watch. See a lot of different strategies unfolding. And again, you managed to nail all of those strategies. But the yellows really did shake things up. You seemed to manage to adapt just fine. Did you encounter any difficulty today? Was it trouble keeping the right rear good? Because it was a little bit hotter out there.
No, I was pretty fortunate. I kind of at the beginning of every stint, I was trying to save the tires, not wear them out, and assuming they were going to go long runs, and they did. So I really did not have any tire wear issues.
Well, there you go. And so no tire wear issues for you. We noticed a few other drivers. I noticed when David Zaleski got by you there, he kind of pushed up a little bit. I noticed a few drivers maybe getting a little aggressive with those weight jackers or the ARB settings, perhaps getting a little loose in the corners. But you didn't have any trouble today, and that's great for Care Camps, the driver or the sponsor that you have on board. And of course, we did a lot of coverage with them last season. We're looking forward to having them as the title sponsor at the end of this season, and just a great organization along with the Coconut Castaways that you're working with down there.
Thank you so much, man, and thanks for the great job you do broadcasting the races. You guys are awesome.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Congratulations, Howard. Enjoy your podium finish and a great way to start the season. Pleasure to have you on board. Good luck, man.
Thank you, brother. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you. So that was Howard Livingston, our third place finisher. We'll get, I'm sure, many more chances to talk with him, but as I mentioned, great for him to manage to get a third place finish and a start to the season. That will be phenomenal. Also getting joined in the broadcast booth, such a pleasure to have David Zaleski joining us. David, can you hear me over there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, first race of the new season, and you look like you were ready to challenge for the win. I mean, you were right there. You came through the field like a blur. You took the fight to Howard, no problem, and you got the Intimidator machine right up there into second place. Must feel pretty darn good for you to start the season in second. Congrats, man.
Thank you very much. It's a good run today. I'd like to apologize to Howard. I think I got up into him there towards the closing end of the laps, and it's not how I want to race him. And if I did, my apologies to him on that.
I did see that. We did see that for a moment on broadcast. That was tense moments. There was there were a couple little close moments, but you're going so fast. You're going 220 miles an hour. It's just sometimes the car wants to drift a little bit. Were you finding the tires? It was like 100 degrees on the track. Were the tires starting to go away a little bit? Did you get a little aggressive with the weight jacker? Did it start to get a little loose or anything?
Yeah, I pretty much burned up the last of my tires racing Howard. And I was pretty aggressive with the weight jacker and stuff, so the car was bad loose there. And in the end, I didn't have nothing for Graham.
Well, that was kind of what I was watching too. When you got to go side by side and you're racing really hard there at the end. I know Howard wasn't given an inch. He really wanted that second place finish too, but nevertheless, you came out on top. And again, you didn't quite have the tire to go after Graham, but maybe again, this is a preview of things to come. I keep saying it's a Zaleski kind of week, and this week it really was a Zaleski kind of week. I'm sorry, Zaleski. I mispronounced that all last season. I apologize, but it is David Zaleski. And congratulations on starting this season off, finishing in second place. It's going to look good for your championship going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. It was a good run today. My only hiccups was exiting pit road, and that's pretty dangerous to come off this pit road. So other than that, I want to congratulate Graham, Howard, and the rest of the guys, and thanks StickQuik, and of course you for broadcasting. And let's put on a really good season, I guess.
You bet. It's all right. I mean, this was a good start. Lots of close racing, and as you said, definitely some incidents and some other things, catching some other drivers out. Pit road was not easy today. I think a lot of people misinterpreted that one. But hey, Zaleski didn't make those mistakes. It got a little close there, but you know what? You still ended up in second, and you didn't get caught up in anyone else's business, and that's the main thing. So congrats on second, and again, going forward, we might see a new driver towards the top of the championship standings at the end of this one. Congrats, David.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, my pleasure. David Zaleski joining us in the broadcast here, and I thank you for thanking me for doing the broadcast. It's my pleasure. I love this group. It's a great group of clean racers, and I guess one of the cleanest of the racers is one that we're going to get a chance to talk to next. Your winner here in Atlanta, none other than Graham Bunyan. Graham, can you hear me over there?
Yeah, I can. How you going, Trevor?
I'm going just amazing. We watched a topsy-turvy race that looked like it was pretty standard in the very beginning, going green flag for a very long stint, and then things kind of shook loose. There were several different cautions. None of them caught you out, Graham, and it looked like you just picked right up with where you left off in Season 11. Congratulations, of course, on your Season 11 championship, and now a victory to start Season 12. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, look, a good way to finish off last season and a good way to continue on into this season. Look, I think it would have been David Strid's race, I think, today if he had a bit of an issue with his pit limiter button by the sound of it. So he got a bit of a speeding penalty there. But yeah, looking in the mirror and watching a couple of those wrecks, it was like, woof, I'm glad I'm up the front here.
Yeah, exactly. And that is a point to be made. You do frequently run up front, and you could just as easily elect to run in the mid pack. You could run towards the back. I know, having run fixed myself, there's a lot of great strategies to running in different parts of the track and just kind of waiting for the end to materialize. But you choose to run up front. It's kind of a risky strategy as well, because you have to run your own caution strategy and things like that, and figure out when you're going to pit and not have another driver undercut you, etc., from further back in the field. But you made all those calls right, and Graham, it's you at the top of the podium once again. And, others gave it a shot, but you really came through today. Did you have any difficulty at all? Did you feel the pressure from David Zaleski coming from the back, or maybe when Jason Lowe was challenging you during the race?
The strategy was to stay on the high side of Dave. I felt the car was a lot more stable up there. Having a little bit of dirty air to run into, it just gave a bit of downforce, a bit more downforce on the front. But out in the front in the clean air, the car really got loose without having that car in front. So yeah, look, I could see Dave and I could see Jason both coming. I think aero push, I could have held them off with that, but a couple of laps with fresher tires, they would have got me. But yeah, no, it was difficult but easy. I don't know an easier way to put it, or a decent way to put it anyway.
Well, I guess Zaleski just didn't quite make it hard enough for you at the end. He'll have to sharpen his pencil and see if he can get those extra zeros and ones to pop out next week. But he wasted some tires, as he was mentioning in his interview, trying to get around Livingston there at the end, and had pretty well burned off the right rear. Nevertheless, this one a little bit easier for you to tackle. And, just due to the fact that Strid did have the issues that he did. And then a bigger crash happened, I think, with your teammate, Mike West, kind of spinning out towards the middle of the track. That caught out Dan Ensch. He, I believe, either clipped Mike or, that he lost control trying to avoid him. And that also got Jason Lowe as well as Rick Kelbaugh. So it put a number of drivers out. And I know that there was also a moment when Jason Lowe was trying to pit, and that took out Will Stearns, driver that you have done some battle with in the past as well. But Will was having a great day, and so he got taken out. So unfortunately, it some cautions really hurting the fact that we could have had some more racing up at the front. But nevertheless, Graham, you being at the front, staying there all race, you kept it clean, you didn't get involved in anything else, and that's the way to start a season. So must feel pretty darn good to start the season that way.
Yeah, it feels good to start that way. I just it's never good to see everybody wreck out and contenders for the season, to be caught up in all that as well. So everyone's a contender, and unfortunately half the field got taken out pretty much. But look, I don't know. Week in, week out, again, everybody improves, everybody gets quicker, and people learn off other people. Some people do, some people don't. They just sort of have one track mind and just do their own thing instead of looking. But I'm always looking at everybody's style and everybody's what they're doing, and it's I learn from them as well. So,
well, there you go. Not a surprise. Graham Bunyan continuing to try to get better every single week and build on his success, his technical abilities in these cars. I don't know where the height is or where the ceiling is for Graham Bunyan, but Graham, you're certainly on your way there, and congratulations on that. Now, of course, why don't we take a look at the upcoming schedules? We watch you doing donuts up there on the screen. You do them very well. Alex Zanardi would be quite impressed. We're going to a really similar track next week, but when the IndyCar Open and Fixed Series went to Charlotte, there was a lot of tire degradation, a lot of drivers struggling with next week, the track for next week, as they raced in this last season in the official series. Have you been looking at Charlotte for next week? Is that one that you have any trepidation about? And what do you think of the rest of the season here for season 12? Any races that you have some particular interest in?
Yeah, look, I'm quite happy with Watkins Glen and actually having the bus stop in it, which will be good. I think it's got the bus stop. I hope it has. Yeah, I think no. Yes, no. I don't know.
It's
I'm
the
trying to look.
classic.
No, it's the boot. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a few more left and right turns, which is good. And in the Dallara, it's an easy car to drive around there. It's a car that adapts really well to that track. So the road race definitely. I always love road races. Charlotte, I have a love-hate relationship with that place. Turn 4 always seems to get me there. Sometimes I go out into that turn 4 wall and hit that pretty hard. So we'll see how it goes. I think the season looks pretty good on paper there. So we'll see how we can do it on the podium side of things.
Well, and in the meantime, you have another competition that you've been working on, and we were mentioning that all kind of from the middle of last season onwards, but the Logitech G Challenge, you've actually been doing quite well. So if you can give us a little update on where you're at with that.
Yeah, all right. So first race was Charlotte, which was in July. Didn't do too well in that. Was up in the front pack there and got taken out by somebody who was a little bit ambitious. God, spit that out when you're half tired. Indianapolis Oval, done really well there, finished third there. So that automatically, I can skip all the races now. That puts me straight through to the semi-finals. So the next race that I officially compete in will be in December, but I will be competing throughout the next 3 months. But what I do there, it doesn't matter. I've automatically gone through to the semi-finals just from finishing on the podium. So.
Well, there you go. So we see you in Vegas, not this next race, but it would be the next race after that?
No, so semi-finals still held in own countries, and then from there I'm trying to work it out last night how they work it out, but I think it's the top 3 go through to Vegas, which is in January. So Vegas, go to Vegas, you get to drive a supercar around whatever track it is. Do a few things there, and I think the overall winner gets to do a couple of weeks in the McLaren factory, so in England.
Well, that sounds brilliant. That would be a lot of fun. A big competition for the season 11 champion for US IndyCar League. We'd love nothing more than to send you off as our representative. That would be just awesome. Thank you so much, Graham, for sharing that and being our champion and victor here. And it's amazing. They keep showing up every week and throwing their best at you, but you keep knocking them off. You're quite a talent, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Congratulations on your victory here today.
No worries. Thank you. And congrats to the podium. They race well. Good on them. And to yourself, Virtual Racing Network, you do a great job. So yeah, keep it up, and everybody else keep it up as well.
Well, thank you so much, Graham, for joining us. And thank you, everybody, as of course, over on VirtualRacing.Network in the YouTube. Appreciate Dan hopping over and watching us over there. Now, we do have a couple more drivers who we'd like to talk with for just 1 second. I do have, let's see here, Dan Ensch, who was a competitor in the front, and unfortunately, he was working on great strategy, and he got wrapped up in that incident with Mike West. Hey, Dan, can you hear me there?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting you to call on me. I was just listening in to make sure you didn't talk bad about me.
Well, I mean, I was talking bad a little bit, but you didn't hear that part. No,
actually,
I
must have missed that.
Of course, I'd never talk bad about you in the Alzheimer's Association machine. But so what happened? We were watching, and it took us a minute to figure out how that worked. Was Mike West's incident the thing that kind of wiped you out? Because we saw you go tumbling across the grass.
No, actually, I missed him completely, and I went through the grass and had it under control. And then when I tried to come back on the track, I gassed it a little bit too hard and spun it again, and that's when I got a lap down. Everybody went by me. I didn't want to move on the track while everybody was trying to get past me and get formed up. So I let everybody go by me and put myself a lap down there just for safety's sake. And then one thing led to another. There was another trip to the grass on my lap 86, and that ended up costing me 5 laps of green flag running. So basically today I'm the poster child for never say die, because at one point I was in 12th place, 6 laps down, and I really wanted to just call it a day, and I thought, no, I'll keep running. Anything could happen. And look what happened. So I come up with a decent point today.
That's a championship run. I mean, to end up 7th after all of that, Dan, it just really shows that you know what you're doing, and you've been doing this for a while. You know how to salvage.
I got really, really lucky. That's all it means. But you don't say die. You just keep running, especially when you got that many laps left.
Exactly. And we see that in real life series as well. Anybody who's fighting for the championship, it doesn't matter whether you're down a couple of laps or whatever. You're just thinking about how to salvage it, how to get it going again. My dad loves to say, mark of a professional is that they know how to cover up for their mistakes, or that they know how to bring themselves back from a dumpster fire like this, where you get caught up and you go flying around and you lose some laps. You pull it out, you end up in 7th, and you're looking good for the championship still. So we'll see. You got some favorites on the tracks going forward?
Oh, yeah, there's several I really like to run on. There's even a couple of road courses that I really like Watkins Glen. I can't wait for that one. I like that track. So I'm looking forward to Iowa. Alzheimer's Association is going to sponsor Iowa for us this year. And
oh, great.
I like to run at Iowa, so we'll see what happens. I think that's probably my best chance at a victory this year.
I think that would be great. Iowa's a great track. They just brought it back to the real life IndyCar series, and absolutely, we'll look forward to seeing that beautiful purple, white, and black machine up there in on the podium, or possibly in Victory Circle. So glad to have you showcasing Alzheimer's Association and getting some more awareness out. That's awesome.
I'm going to get one of those StickQuik victory trophies one of these days, I'm telling you.
They are something to see. That is for sure. We'll get you up there in Victory Circle, and that'll be a day to remember. But in the meantime, congrats on salvaging this one, Dan. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Trevor. Great job.
Thank you very much. And finally, with us in the broadcast booth, I got to talk to him. It was, Jason, it was one of those races that, once again, you're up there in the front, you're fighting for the lead, and then disaster strikes. What happened today, Jason?
Well, the disaster was all on me. I was going to short pit, and I did not give Will Stearns enough of a cushion when I said I'm pitting. Someone else was using the microphone coming off of turn 2, and so I really was debating in my mind, do I want to try to get into the pits? And I warned him. I mean, it did go over the mic, but he didn't have time to react. And then in my rearview mirror, I saw him kind of like going toward the middle, and I tried to get out of his way because I knew we were going to hit. And so the guy who runs the league took out half the field, basically.
Well, I mean, I think you're allowed a mulligan or King's X on one of them. I mean, it's certainly people are not going to be as vicious towards you because you run the league. They still got to watch that. But no, I hear you, and that's always a difficult moment like that. But again, pitting, getting that procedure right, and again, being able to call out, have other drivers hear you, is one of those things we struggle with in whether it's official, a league race, anything. It's always so difficult. And I thought for a minute maybe Will didn't have his voice chat, or his, wasn't watching the text or anything, and he just didn't plain see it, because it looked like you were gonna pit, and then it just looked like Will Stearns he just had no idea that you were gonna pit, and he just ran right into you. So it's unfortunate that you two had it coming together, because that really did take two of the best cars out of the race today. But you still ended up finishing in 9th. It's a top 10. It's not the way you want to start the championship, but as a 3-time championship winner, as you know, these championships can go up and down from the beginning to the end. We could very well see you at the top of this championship order at the end of the season.
Oh, well, when we were actually racing, I felt like I was good with Graham. I could pass him on the inside. I could pass him on the outside. He could do the same with me. I did not really care for the setup we ended up with. I built a setup on Saturday that was 180 degrees different from what we ended up racing, but everybody except me hated it. So we went with what everyone liked. which that's the way our league works. I mean, it's we kind of all put our heads together, and the majority pretty much rules. I didn't really ever get comfortable with the setup. I got really loose off of 2 a couple times and went down on the apron. Don't know if that made it onto the broadcast, but I wrecked basically twice by myself. I just didn't hit anything, and it's one of those days. I'm really sorry that my wreck with Will took out so many of the other league members. It's a rarity in our league for that to happen, and I'm glad it's rare, and I'm embarrassed that I was the one that caused it. That's not on Will. I did not give him enough warning. I should have stayed out. I should have gone one more lap. I made a bad decision, and I'll learn from it. Congratulations to Graham. Congratulations to David. And congratulations to Howard. Thank you to StickQuik. And thank you, Trevor, for the awesome job that you do. And I'm just going to go home and lick my wounds and drink some bourbon now.
Well, you got to do that because you got to get ready for next week. It's going to be Charlotte, which is going to be possibly, from what I understand and what the other competitors have told me, it's going to be even tougher. Even Graham Bunyan talking about it's going to be even tougher than this week. So get ready, lick your wounds, and we'll see you next week, Jason. And you can start that assault again. Remember, you got one drop week. So
well, remember this, Trevor. If people think that Charlotte next week is tough, and Charlotte is tough, wait till week 10 when we go to USA Speedway, which is a 4/10 mile.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. When I saw it on there, I've done some laps in the IndyCar there, and I mean, any car at USA Speedway is insane. It's so bumpy and so tricky. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. This whole season is great, and I love the fact that Indy is our very final race. That should be really special. So, hey, congrats again, Jason. Another successful season getting launched, 14 in the field. Saw a new driver joining us today in Dawn Day, and we'll see what next race brings at Charlotte.
Amen, brother. Everyone have a great weekend, and God bless.
Absolutely. And, of course, happy Labor Day to all of those who are watching in the United States of America, this being Labor Day weekend. So that's going to do it for us here on the broadcast. So great to have as many drivers joining us in the booth as possible. That's really fantastic. And it was a good race. It got a little marred by a couple of incidents, but you can see the quality of the competition here. And as I mentioned before, if you're out there watching, you want to join, it's not too late. There's even a drop week, so technically this first week wouldn't have counted for you. Just head on over to iRacing. It's right in the description. You can click that link and apply to the league. In the meantime, for everyone here, it's part of VirtualRacing.Network and the US IndyCar League. It has been my absolute pleasure to bring you the very first round of Season 12, and we'll be bringing you, of course, the rest of the season in ultra high definition 4K. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week at Charlotte. So for now and for everybody, it's been Trevor Greenfield saying goodbye and see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.